Hi there, this is Unmesh from PiXimperfect and I hope that you're having a fantastic day, and if not, I trust that you're doing your best to make it a beautiful one. Someone told me not to leave life to the winds of chance and change, and I believe in that 1000%. Anyway, if you are a video creator and if you're hearing what I'm about to tell you for the very first time, this, my friend, is going to change your life for the better. Have you ever come across situations where you have to zoom in and out of the footage? Maybe it's a simple talking head video or a B-roll or even a screen capture. Time to time in tutorials, we have to zoom in and out of specific areas to make things clear, right? But if you work with Premiere Pro or any other video editing software, you already know this, my friend, is a tedious process. You have to keep track of keyframing, scaling, positioning. It is just a mess. What if I told you that you could do all of this, all the zooming in and out, along with motion effects, smoothed out, eased in and eased out, all of this automatically? Sounds too good to be true, doesn't it? But right now, there's a plugin for it that does all of the heavy lifting for you. And yes, I bought it out of my own pocket. When I learned about it a few weeks ago, it absolutely knocked my socks off, and I was questioning myself as to why did I spend billions of hours doing it the manual way? If you have been a Premiere Pro user or if you have used any software before, this is going to blow your mind too, and I can guarantee that it's definitely going to be a life changer. So without any further ado, I'm super excited to show this to you. Let's get started. Back in the magical world of Premiere Pro this time, and if you wish to directly follow along, I have linked both some sample footages and the plugin in the description. And if there are discounts going on at the moment, I'll update that too if you're interested. So let's get started. Let us first understand how this works. So I was making this Instagram reel on how to remove fence in Photoshop. And by the way, it's on Instagram at PiXimperfect. Now let's say I was explaining about going to edit and then content aware fill, and I need to zoom in there. So let's go to that section where we go to edit and then content aware fill. So right now we click on edit and then content aware fill. So just before that, I've kept the audio muted so that it doesn't interfere with this audio. All right. So I need to zoom in on edit. So here's what I need to do. After you've installed the extension, go to Window, Extensions, and then drag Zoom Pro. Just simply refresh it so that you have the screen preview right over there. Now here's the magic. You can visually tell where to zoom in. So I want the zoom to be of 0.3 seconds, and all you got to do is just drag. That's it. So I want to zoom in this area, and if you hold the space bar, you can move where you want to zoom in. So I want to zoom in exactly at this area and leave it. Done. It does everything automatically. Right now, when you play it, watch what happens. So I'm going to play that section again for you. So here, let's play that. See, it automatically zooms into that area. Now, after that, we move to content aware, and I want to move the camera right there. I want to pan it right there, or maybe pan and zoom as well. So we're just going to refresh again. It's going to already tell you which area is already zoomed in, and then you can just drag another area, move it to content aware right there in the middle, and just leave it. Done. And this is how it looks. See the zoom, see the transition? It's so easy, and you didn't have to do any of the keyframing manually. Now let's compare it with the traditional manual methods and see what are the problems we face and whether this panel can fix it. So here we have another example, and this is from the tutorial where we remove the greens from the face. Remember, we click on the adjustment layer icon and then we choose hue saturation. So we need to zoom into that area. If we had to do it manually, here's what we would have to do. First of all, let's say we are going to zoom at this point. So we would have to go to Effect Controls and then create a keyframe both for position and scale, and then just scale in and then move into that area. And if we don't do it properly, there might be that black gap right over there. So we have to just control the size properly. Okay. And then we also have to create a keyframe for the original position as well. I almost forgot to do that. So let's say I want to start right here. I want to create points for both of these right here and just reset it to previous position. Now you have a zoom in, and this is not very exciting. And on top of that, if you want some motion effects, you would have to add some more effects here, and it can take a whole lot of time. So instead, if you were using the panel, all you had to do was this. Let's go to drag Zoom Pro, and let's say I want to zoom in quickly. at 0.2 seconds. And now let's quickly refresh it so that we have the screen right over there. And we don't want to zoom in that quickly. We want to zoom in at just this point. Now when you drag an area, and if you feel that you want to cancel it, because if you leave it right now, it will zoom into that area. If you want to cancel it, we can simply press the escape key. As simple as that. Let's drag in a new one and hold the spacebar to move it around. And I want to make it just a little bigger, just like this. And it sticks to the edge. You can choose not to, but I usually keep it on. We'll get to that later. But there's no chance of leaving those gaps around the edge. Once you release it, boom, done. That's all it took. Now let's play that section again. See how simple that is? That's just amazing, isn't it? And by the way, if you felt this is a little quicker, you can always easily increase the duration here. Also, did you notice there's a motion blur effect to it? If we scroll a little back, have a look. There's this motion blur effect also added. Now you must be wondering, once we have zoomed in, then what? Then we can do a variety of things. Let's say you want to move to this area of the image. Simple. Let's refresh that again. It just doesn't show that particular area, but the entire thing, even though in the main preview you don't have that. All you have to do is to just drag a rectangle where you want to move the camera. That's it. So I want to zoom into hue saturation adjustment, and it will take the camera there. Exciting. So let's go here. So we applied hue saturation, and then it easily moves there. And of course, at any point, if you want to zoom out at 100%, you just have to click zoom out to 100%. You don't have to refresh it. It's not necessary. It's just to get a preview of the entire footage here. That's it. If you know here you want to zoom out or zoom into a particular place, you don't really have to refresh it or get a preview. Just click on zoom out to 100%, and I would increase the time to 0.3. Let's click on this button. And it zooms out. As simple as that. Now let's play this section. See, the motion blur is still there. It zooms out slowly since we chose 0.3. Let's say there's a middle section of the image that you want to zoom in. For instance, when we get to picking this color, I want to zoom in on that area. So first let's refresh it. And if I try to drag a rectangle right there and try to move it, it just snaps into those guides. I don't want that to happen. I want it to move freely. So here's what we do. And by the way, we accidentally did it. No problem. To undo it, just simply click on undo button right there. Control or Command Z will not work here because there are lots of steps involved. But thankfully, we have this undo button. Let's simply go to settings and disable snap to grid lines. From enabled, let's choose disabled. Now let's get back to drag and zoom. And now when you drag a rectangle, you can move it freely wherever you want. Let's make it a little bigger and move it at the center of this circle right over there, the highlighted area. And there you go, my friend. That area is now zoomed in. Have a look. We move in there, and that area is zoomed in to the very middle. Perfectly. Now at this point, you might have noticed that the zoom in and zoom out are pretty smooth. That's because I have set the transition interpolation to ease in and ease out. If you do want it to be linear, you can choose linear from here. That will be a little simple, but depending upon the kind of effect you're going for, you can choose either of these. So let's zoom out with linear to show you the difference. So let's say I want to zoom out right over here. Let's click on zoom out to 100%. So this will be a little linear motion instead of eased in and eased out. So let's play it. You would notice that it's just a very linear motion. Now let's talk about talking heads like this one. From time to time, we do need to zoom in and out. Sometimes we have different cuts where we have to zoom in and out. And here's how to do it. And all the time, we don't want to be dragging rectangles, and every time we want to zoom into the same area, it just doesn't make sense to do that manually as well. Let's say this is another talking head video. And at this point where I just move my hand like this, I want to zoom in. So let's move in right over there at just this point, and then open up Drag Zoom Pro by going to Window, Extensions, and Drag Zoom Pro. Let's stick it right here at the top. So this is where we want to zoom in. Let's first refresh it, and it's not going to refresh because we have not selected the clip. So let's first select the clip, click on refresh, and this time we do need the guide's assistance. So let's go to settings, and we do want to enable the grid lines. And secondly, there's one more thing I wanted to show you. There's a parameter called shutter angle, and it is simply the motion blur effect that was added. In talking head videos, I don't really like that much of a motion blur effect, so we're just going to go ahead with a 0. 0 means no blur. It tells right there, and 360 has the most blur. So let's go with 0. Now let's get back to drag and zoom tab, and now let's drag in a rectangle. Have a look, it will stick to guides once we start moving it. So 110% zoom looks good to me. Hold the space bar and move it to the very center, and it will just snap to it and release it. Now, once you do that, you would notice a very interesting thing. First of all, let's have a look at the movement. It's pretty good, isn't it? Now, I do want the movement to be a little earlier and a little quicker. So let's go with 0.15. And we want the movement to be right here. All right. So let's refresh that. We don't really have to do that. And now let's drag in a rectangle, 110% zoom, and let's move it to the very center. And there you go, my friend. And now let's play it. Perfect. Now, what if you want to apply the same zoom throughout the video? It just doesn't make sense to do it again and again. By the way, if you go to recents, all of the recent zooms that you have done will be saved here. So if you had zoomed in to the file section or the layer section in a screen capture, all of that will be in the recents. So this is the one that we did most recently. And if you want to apply it anytime again, you just have to click on that. Let's say here we zoom out to 100%. So have a look. It zooms out. Again, we want to zoom in. So simply click on that zoom in one, not the zoom out one. Zoom in one, 110, and it will zoom in again. How convenient is that? But the next time you open the project, this might be gone. So we want to save this as a favorite. That 110% zoom in, we want to just click on the star button right there and zoom in face. Let's name it this way. And every time you want to zoom in that way, simply go to favorites and click on zoom in face. I already have one, which I actually use in my projects. This is the one that I did to demonstrate to you. So let's say we zoom out right here by clicking on zoom out to 100%. And then we want to zoom in again right here. Click on zoom in face. That's it. And it zooms in right there. The saved zooms can also help in a lot of different ways. Let's say if it's a screen capture and each area is saved as a preset. Imagine how convenient that would be. So let's say I refresh it right here. I have this layer area that I zoomed in at some point in time, and I will zoom in like that. And it will be saved in recents. And I want to save it as a favorite by clicking on this star and just name it layer area. Okay. And then we have, let's say, let's undo everything. And let's say I have one more for the file areas. Let me decrease the volume. So for the file area or the menu bar area, let's drag it right over there. And let's save this one as the menu bar. Now, anytime you want to zoom into the layer areas, just simply go to favorites and click on layer. And that area would automatically be zoomed in. And at some point, you might want to zoom out. And then if you want to zoom into the menu bar area, simple. Click on menu bar and it will zoom into that. If you do any sort of video professionally, this is hands down a super must-have plugin. And I'm telling you, I usually don't say this, but I have to say it this time. If you don't have this plugin, you're definitely missing out. By the way, if you cannot afford it at the moment, I absolutely understand and you don't have to. But when you can, this is a must-have. I cannot even just put into words how much this has helped me since I got it. It's just been 3 or 4 videos, but it feels like I've saved a lifetime. On top, there's this guilt that I wasted 4 Frankenstein years trying to do this manually. I really wish I knew about it earlier. And by the way, if you're somebody who creates tutorials or teaches online, why are you still even watching this video? You know, when I was introduced to this through a random video, it was on Premiere Pro performance comparison, something like that. I just paused the video right there, went to the website, bought it, and even started experimenting with it. I've linked the plugin in the description with some possible discounts, so do go ahead and check that out. A special, huge, massive thank you to Camille Picala for creating this panel, this plugin. You, my man, are a super genius. I absolutely am in love with it. He also has a YouTube channel where he also creates tutorials, so do show him some love. He absolutely deserves it. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this video helped you, and if it did, make sure to give us a like, and also don't forget to subscribe, and not just subscribe. Ring the bell so that you, my friend, don't miss any other future tips, tricks, or tutorials. Thanks to all of these amazing, awesome, and super nice people for supporting this channel on Patreon and helping keep PiXimperfect free for everybody forever. Also, thanks for making this video possible. Let's you and I meet again in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me for this one. Till then, stay tuned and make sure that you keep creating.